The Banking Scene Director's Cut goes behind the scenes, sharing stories and insights to help you build the bank of tomorrow.
Rick, you got really excited about an announcement from Revolut last week. What was the announcement, and why do you think that the announcement is more than just a gimmick?
So what Revolut announced is that they start offering a savings account in Belgium. Depending on the subscription level you're at, you will get different rates. As such, not the highest rates. But what's exciting is that they are the first financial institution in Belgium that will start issuing you the interest rates on a daily basis. We are used to having annual payouts. So that is, I think, a very big shift compared to what others are doing in the Belgian market, because it's something that we've never seen before. And it fits reasonably well with what we start to see almost everywhere. It needs to go instantly, from instant messaging, instant payments, instant FX exchanges, now instant savings. And that's, I think, very interesting. I also asked the wider audience, the community, for their feedback on LinkedIn. At the moment of writing the blog, we were at around 48 answers, I think. Right now we're at 52. And it's only a minority of 29% that is rather negative compared to the potential impact for the industry. And the other ones are saying either it's a game changer or it sure will appeal to many. And I think that is a significant amount of people that believe that it will drive an impact. It's thanks to that poll as well that we were able to raise the question on why people answered this to a few from the industry. And one of them is Dirk Emminger. Maybe for some context, he lives right across the border in Germany. I met him for the first time at Unchained Festival in Romania. Actually, on the airport, when he greeted me already on the airplane in Brussels, going into that direction, which was quite a surprise. Welcome back, Dirk.
Hey.
Last time we met was in Romania. Now we're meeting virtually. You were one of the contributors of the poll online on whether or not the new savings product of Revolut will be a success in Belgium. Of course, you're not a Belgian yourself, but I remember you are a Revolut user. Do you have that product already in your services portfolio?
Yeah, Rick. Exactly, I'm living only 5 kilometers from the Belgian border, so
Yeah.
happy to count me in. Yeah, but we have it available in Germany right now, and I'm using it. It seems to work, but as usual, we are in Germany. We need to wait for some papers that I need to accept, and as it's a business account, it will take, I don't know, hopefully the next 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, but that also means that it's not like a real. It's not that Belgium is the first to have this kind of product across the Revolut countries.
No. It's in Germany. It's available. They publish it. It appears.
Yeah.
You can directly use it. Yeah.
Of course. And you voted not so much that it would be a game changer in Belgium, but it will appeal to many. Can I ask you why you voted for that specific option?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's very easy onboarding. So you already have a Revolut account as a Revolut user, and it's just one click away, and then you can easily transfer money between left and right. So meaning the normal current account and then the savings account, and hey, that's it. So again, user-friendly, user experience, top notch, and so I think it will be a huge success. The question is, as always, if the Revolut customers are typical savings customers. But for me and for my business account, it's pretty cool. So I don't need a third one, and I don't need to open one at ING DiBa or any other bank. I can easily do it on my existing stuff.
So for you, it's not perhaps not really like the gimmick of having daily interest payments, but more Revolut offered it, so I'll use it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the point. So we are here in Germany with the local Sparkasse, but we don't have part money there. We are using then the typical deposit accounts like ING DiBa in Germany is a good on it, or Waizen offers also some good interest rates. But I always need to transfer it from Revolut then to another account, and then need to open it, need to do verification and so on. And so it's very decent now to just shift it from left to the right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that's interesting feedback from an existing Revolut user. Obviously, he's looking forward to the convenience and he's not going to have to swap across different banks. But what sort of industry impact do you think that this will have, realistically?
If I would have known this before writing the blog may have been quite different, because I thought it would appeal perhaps to new potential users to start using Revolut because it has more bigger range of products and that very interesting feature, a gimmick, I would say, of instant daily payouts. But what I will go home with from that talk with Dirk is that he found it most compelling not because it is daily payouts, but simply because it is a savings account. So it looks like it will drive much more loyalty from existing users. And the fact that it happened weeks after the launch of offering Belgian IBANs, it makes the entire value proposition of Revolut much more local, much more complete package for existing bank users. And that will definitely be yet another step in the direction of Revolut becoming the main bank for quite a lot of people, not just the expats that are using it for their day-to-day FX exchanges going abroad, or a younger population that is very fond of the digital gimmicks, but maybe also going further, looking also at Revolut for their complete bank service. The only thing that we're currently still missing is lending. But again, we asked someone from the industry who said it will be a game changer, and he is a market scanner as a professional account executive at SAS. Familiar face. He used to work at Disc AI, the spin-off on AI from KBC, the other very innovative bank in Belgium. And let's listen how he looks at this evolution at Revolut and what it could mean for the industry. Hello, Karim. Last week, I set up a poll on LinkedIn to evaluate how the network, the community, looked at the recent release of Revolut and their savings products. And you were one of the, quite a few, I think 35% so far of the 50 that voted, who voted that it will be a game changer for the industry. Can you briefly explain why you think that is?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rick. So indeed, that was my immediate reply to this poll. Why? Because I think that it's kind of a big deal for our industry, as this is, it's also something really new, what they bring into the market. So getting rewarded much more frequently on a daily basis is something that we haven't seen from traditional bank, and it's a pretty big shift actually from how traditional banks work actually. Yep. So I'm really curious how the market will react to this, but I saw this as very appealing, especially for younger people, because I have the sense that younger people taps into the sense of instant gratification, yep. Like getting rewarded more frequently. Like you could even make the link with new technologies like crypto, for example, where you can stake Ethereum and get regular rewards. So this is actually, I think, what Revolut wants to bring as a vibe into that kind of traditional banking.
Yeah, I completely follow you when it comes to building that element of trust. And every bank says that the money that you put on a savings works on its own and makes more money. But a traditional bank will prove that on an annual basis. It's quite a big difference, despite probably very low return from a savings product, to have that on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the fact that I think that Revolut is really tapping into millennials, Generation Z, where they experience the boom of the internet and the smartphones, basically. So this really aligns, I think, with their strategy to bring in this kind of new innovation and to speed up as well innovation cycles. And I was even thinking maybe this kind of new new products can also help financial literacy towards younger people, because this might also get like more attractive to them to get more involved with money.
Okay, yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
maybe
a
it's
point I
also
didn't consider yet, but I completely agree.
a way to learn better money habits along the way.
Yeah, yeah. No, very interesting. Yeah, some of the comments were like the compounding interest will make you earn more money at the end of the day. Again, with the return you get on a savings account, I'm not sure, rationally speaking, it will make a big difference. But emotionally, of course, we know that money is very loaded, and that constant gratification can definitely be an element of trust in that respect. You are frequent scanner of news when it comes to Belgian banks, I noticed on social media. Do you think that this is just one of the many more developments that we will see in Revolut? After all, a few weeks back there was a Belgian IBAN. Now there is a Belgian savings product, which is revolutionary compared to what we've known so far. What's going to be next?
Well, you can see that Revolut really made a big shift from the early adopter program, let's say,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, where they just basically provided payments as a service. So they really want to make that shift towards banking as a whole, and little by little they are bringing in this kind of traditional banking products. So I really believe that they will also bring in more insurance products in the near future, and and loans, so like mortgages, consumer loans. This is also under the radar. They actually already started in other countries, like Lithuania, Ireland, I believe. So those are probably test cases, and the other countries will definitely follow in the near future.
Yeah, like savings, not always as easy to simply copy in other markets, because Europe remains very fragmented space, especially in that kind of service areas like lending, like savings, etc. But no, I completely agree. It's going to be interesting to see what comes next in the coming 2, 3, 5 years.
So indeed, and I'm also really interested to see how the local market will react to those kind of things. Because we clearly see some banks in Belgium who are like advanced in digital offerings already, but some others are really lacking behind. So they will have to speed up if they want to remain relevant, especially with this kind of younger crowd, and if they want to grow their market share along the way. So
good to hear that, because rethinking relevance will be the theme for 2026 of the banking scene.
Looking forward to that. Okay, so both on what you had said earlier and from what Karim has said, I learned that interest in Belgium on savings accounts is only paid on an annual basis. That's completely different to here in the UK, where I'm used to interest being paid on a very minimum on a monthly basis. Even my old legacy bank used to do that, and I'm now with Monzo. It's commonplace here to have it paid at least monthly. I didn't know that it was annual. It was the standard in Belgium.
Very interesting. And I guess it shows that we need to communicate much more across borders on banking, not just about digital transformation, but about so much more. A few weeks back, we spoke about the mortgages, I believe, and how different that is in the UK compared to Belgium. And it's only one sea away. Now, savings accounts. In Belgium, it is very traditional product, very classic product, and pretty well protected as well. I know that quite a lot of frustration at, for example, Revolut, but also quite a few others, that it's quite heavily regulated, especially the regulated account, which also includes like a lot of restrictions and obligations, and one of them is that you need to have kind of a loyalty interest for the amount that stays on a savings account for a full year. And probably that's
Wow.
also the legacy that explains why today most savings accounts are still purely offering it on an annual basis. That has changed a bit the moment that the interest rates got below zero, because one of the conditions of being a regulated savings account was also like it's on a tax basis more beneficial to have a regulated savings account. And we can go in much more detail, but it will require much more time as well. But in essence, it was, well, legally speaking, it needed to have a positive interest rate and it needed to have a positive extra loyalty interest rate as well. It's probably that legacy that explains why we have it on an annual basis. Now, when the interest rates were below zero, the interest rate was close to zero. Still positive, but close to zero, which to me makes me think that the rate as such is not a big... The idea of that rate is to make sure that we have a more stable economy, because if the money stays longer on a savings account, it gives banks more opportunity to activate the deposits for more lending, and that in return will activate the economy. There's logic behind it. But if the interest rates are so low, you could argue to what extent that's an argument for people to keep it longer on a savings account. And maybe like having that argument eroded could also be an additional incentive for Revolut to have a successful new savings product in Belgium, and perhaps to push other banks to follow that example. As clearly abroad, there are many more examples that issue their interests on a much more frequent basis.
Now, I quite vocally last year divorced my legacy bank that I'd had an account with for over 20 years. Not only because their interest rate was so low on savings, it was so marginal it might as well have been zero. But it was more just the difficulty of dealing with them, which was something that Karim had brought up, saying that this is an innovative news and it's likely to attract early adopters, and, you know, maybe it'll encourage people to switch. Now, I have switched. I've completely removed my relationship with my bank of over 20 odd years, and I moved to a neobank. It was a neobank. Now it's more a mainstream bank. Monzo, over in the market over 10 years. But I know I'm in the minority, and I think that there's many people in the industry that have said, yes, it's easy to get bank accounts open. It's much harder for them to become people's primary bank account. And that's where I think Revolut's biggest challenge currently lies, and any other new entrant into the Belgian market for that matter. Do you think offerings like this will tempt more people to switch their primary bank account? Or, you know, is this just a gimmick, as you said at the beginning? And what do you think overall a product like this, or new products like this, means for the incumbents? Do they have to start watching out for people switching?
Do I think that it will convince people to switch? As such, maybe not, but because it is a more complete offering, it will be appealing, hearing from others how good the service is, and hearing that it's quite a complete package. It's interesting that they launched it now, weeks after having a Belgian IBAN, which is again a trust mark showing that they do care about the local Belgian consumers. They have, depending on the article I read on the same source, the TED, between 700 or more than 800,000 customers, which is not little. It's still not 10% of the complete Belgian market, but it is quite considerable, especially probably if we would look at the concentration in the young population, it will get much, much higher. But those are the future of banking. So having that large population, now that they can use those bank services with a Belgian IBAN and a savings account, will make it more compelling. Will that convince people having it as a main bank? Maybe, maybe not. The only thing that we're currently still missing is lending. But then again, and that's maybe an open question to Kent with, what will Revolut do with all the deposits on savings accounts? One day they will need to activate it because that's where most of the money for banks are being made. So maybe that next step in the near future is lending. And then we could have another conversation on whether that is enough for Revolut to start being a main bank. I think it was Dirk who also explained in his talk that in other countries they are already testing with mortgages. That is, I think, a very big thing. If they succeed with that, that would completely change the game. And that would be a clear warning for incumbent banks that want to compete in a digital space to rethink their digital strategy, in my opinion.
Great feedback, and I agree with you that I think this is just a first step. Once they've got their savings and they can build up those deposit accounts, they can then see what they can do with it. But decent interest rates, I think, are a great attraction. They certainly played a key factor for me. And as you say, the whole world is going instant payments. Why not instant savings? I look forward to hearing back from the community what their viewpoints are on this. And maybe we can find more Revolut users or more industry experts to come in, comment on this in a short while to come.
And maybe in the near future, even talk to someone from Revolut to hear how they look at that track that's coming up next. Explain how they got to this savings product at the end.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.